A good heart may forgive what was done, but life rarely forgets the pain inflicted upon it, because the wound you leave in a pure soul does not disappear. It echoes, it lingers, and somehow it finds its way back. Have you ever watched someone break a gentle person and walk away as if nothing happened? No guilt, no apology, no second thought. They moved on like the storm never happened, while somewhere behind them, a kind soul sat in silence, trying to understand why love was answered with cruelty, why loyalty was rewarded with betrayal, why a heart that only wanted peace was handed pain. But here is what most people fail to understand. There is something sacred about a good heart, not weak, sacred. It carries patience when anger would be easier. It gives softness in a world that worships hardness. It chooses love even after being wounded by it. And when someone chooses to damage that kind of soul, whether through lies, neglect, betrayal, manipulation, or cold indifference, life has a strange way of restoring balance. Not always through revenge, not always through visible punishment, but through truth, through emptiness, through the silent realization of what was lost when it is far too late to reclaim. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And many people mistake consequence for fate, when in truth they are simply meeting the shadow of what they once caused. Tonight, we speak about that shadow, and why the pain you give a good heart always finds its way back. Part 1. The invisible weight of hurting a pure soul. There is a strange illusion cruel people often believe, that if nobody confronts them, if the kind person stays silent, if life continues normally, then they got away with it. But pain is energy, and energy moves. Think about fire. You can throw a spark into dry grass and walk away smiling, but somewhere behind you, flames are quietly spreading. Hurting a good heart works the same way. Because people with pure intentions leave marks on us deeper than we realize. Maybe it was the woman who loved you honestly, not for status, not for convenience, but because she saw beauty in your brokenness, and you repaid her with lies. Maybe it was the loyal friend who stood beside you when everyone disappeared, and when your life improved, you treated them like they were disposable. Maybe it was the quiet soul who gave patience, understanding, and warmth, while you fed them confusion, coldness, and wounds they never deserved. At first, nothing happens. Life keeps moving. You laugh, you post smiling pictures, you convince yourself it meant nothing, but then silence arrives, and silence is where truth gets loud. You begin meeting people who cannot love deeply. Connections become hollow, conversations feel empty, touches feel temporary, success feels strangely numb, and suddenly you remember the heart you broke. Not because memory is sentimental, but because your soul recognizes contrast. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you fill your life with selfishness, deceit, and careless harm, eventually your inner world becomes stained by it, and that stain follows everywhere, not as punishment, as consequence, because when you wound goodness, sometimes the greatest pain is spending the rest of your life unable to find it again. Part 2. Life has a quiet way of returning what you sent out. There is a moment that comes for many people, quietly, unexpectedly, when they finally understand pain, not as an idea, but as an experience. And that is when truth arrives. Not with thunder, not with revenge, not with some dramatic collapse the world can witness, but in private, in the lonely hours, in unanswered messages, in sleepless nights, in loving someone deeply, and watching them slowly become distant, in giving everything, only to realize you are being treated the same careless way you once treated another. And suddenly, the wound becomes familiar. You've been here before, Except this time, you are standing on the other side of it. This is one of life's deepest mirrors, what we refuse to understand through wisdom. We often understand through experience. A man who once mocked loyalty may one day beg for it from someone incapable of giving it. A woman who played recklessly with sincere love may someday meet a heart that awakens her soul, only to lose it through betrayal she cannot stop. The liar becomes suspicious of everyone. The manipulator becomes trapped by manipulation. The neglectful become invisible to those they desperately want attention from, not because the universe is cruel, but because truth must eventually be felt to be understood. Lao Tzu wrote, "The farther one goes, the less one knows." Many chase endless people, endless pleasures, endless ego victories, believing they are winning, but they are only walking farther away from what is real. And life, with quiet precision, often leads them back through suffering. Think of an echo in the mountains. You shout anger, anger returns. You release tenderness, warmth comes back, not always immediately, not always from the same place, but always in form. That is why hurting a good heart is dangerous in ways people rarely understand. Because good hearts love deeply, their pain is deep, their prayers are deep, their silence is deep. And the energy of what was done to them does not vanish into emptiness. It circles, it waits. And one day, often when a person least expects it, life places them in a moment where they whisper, "Now I understand what I did." And sometimes that realization hurts more than any punishment ever could. Part 3. They often realize too late what they lost. There is a tragic pattern in human nature. We often overlook what is genuine because it feels safe, because it feels steady, because it does not force us to chase it, and what stays is often taken for granted. A good heart rarely arrives loudly. It does not always wear beauty the world worships. It does not manipulate. It does not play games to create desire. It does not weaponize silence, affection, or attention. Instead, it offers something far rarer: peace, consistency, warmth, a place where your soul can rest. But many people mistake peace for boredom, sincerity for weakness, loyalty for something that will always remain available. So they wander. They chase intensity over depth, excitement over truth, ego over connection, temporary thrill over lasting meaning. And for a while, it feels intoxicating. New faces, new attention, new desire, new distractions. But novelty has a short lifespan. Soon the glitter fades, and what once felt thrilling begins to feel hollow. Conversations become repetitive. Affection feels transactional. Connection feels shallow. The heart grows strangely tired. And then memory arrives, not gently but like a quiet ache that settles deep inside. They remember the person who truly saw them, the one who listened carefully, who stayed during difficult seasons, who understood pain they never spoke aloud, who loved parts of them they themselves struggled to love, and suddenly they realize that kind of heart was never ordinary. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." A good heart creates those invisible threads, even after distance, even after separation, even after years. Its presence lingers in comparison to everyone who comes after. And that is why regret becomes heavy. Not because they lost someone, but because they lost something rare, something almost sacred, something they may spend years searching for in strangers, only to discover it cannot be replaced. Some doors close softly, but echo forever in the soul. And perhaps one of life's deepest griefs is this: realizing the home your heart needed was the home you destroyed with your own hands. Part 4. What happens when a good heart finally stops giving chances? There is a final stage in this silent story that many people never prepare for, because they assume the good-hearted person will always remain the same. Forgiving, understanding, patient, available, they confuse kindness with permanence, But even the purest heart has a breaking point, and when it reaches that point, something shifts, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. A good heart does not become cruel. It becomes distant. It stops explaining, stops overgiving, stops chasing clarity from those who enjoy confusion, stops offering warmth where it is constantly met with coldness. And this shift is not revenge. It is wisdom. It is the soul finally choosing peace over pain. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists, but what you accept transforms." And the good heart, after enough suffering, accepts a painful truth. Not everyone deserves access to their depth, so they retreat inward. They rebuild silently. They start valuing themselves in ways they once reserved only for others. And this is where life begins to reverse the roles. The one who was once taken for granted becomes rare. The one who was once always available becomes unreachable. The one who once begged for understanding now refuses emotional chaos. And this is when regret becomes unbearable for those who lost them, because now they are witnessing something irreversible, a version of the person they destroyed that no longer belongs to them. And they realize it wasn't just love they lost. It was safety, it was peace, it was emotional home. It was someone who made life softer just by existing. But by the time realization arrives, the good heart has already transformed, not into hatred, but into self-respect. And here is the deepest truth of this entire story. Life does not always punish cruelty with destruction. Sometimes it punishes it with distance, with silence, with the unbearable knowledge that what was once freely given can never be accessed again. And that is why the pain you give a good heart finds its way back, not to destroy you, but to teach you, because every soul eventually meets the weight of what it has given. And when that moment comes, you finally understand. Good hearts are not easy to find, but once lost, they are almost impossible to return. So if you are the one who once had a good heart in your life and you let it go, ask yourself honestly, did you value it, or did you assume it would always stay? And if you are the good heart that was hurt, understand this. Your softness was never your weakness. It was your depth. And depth is never meant for everyone, because in the end, life always balances what was given and what was taken. And what is meant for you will never require you to lose yourself to keep it. Some people leave, but the lesson they leave behind stays forever.